At Trusted Pipeline Advisor, our mission is to support field operations teams, not just with insight, but with tools they can act on. We created QIC Assess to help you stay ahead of failure, to bring clarity to complexity, and to offer forward-looking corrosion management plans grounded in decades of experience, not hindsight. We believe the future of pipeline integrity lives within QIC Assess and CMP-IC projects because they don't just diagnose what happened. They define where corrosion is most likely to appear and what to do about it. This is the foundation of any serious safety management system, and it's exactly what regulators like PHMSA and CSA Z662 now expect. So let's get into today's case. We're looking at an 8-inch, 35-mile transmission pipeline. It's downstream of a gas plant, carrying dry, spec gas, clean, consistent, and predictable. For years, this line was considered low risk. No free water, no solids, no history of corrosion. No mitigation program and no pigging were necessary. And when we modeled this line using QIC Assess under normal operating conditions, everything looked exactly as expected. No water accumulation, no corrosion zones, nothing to worry about. But then the pipeline ruptured, and internal corrosion was the cause. To understand how, we ran the same model, but this time using data from a brief wet gas event. That brings us to our second image. What triggered this wasn't catastrophic, just a short-lived process upset. A bypassed separator, trace wet gas slipping through. Under these non-conforming conditions, the model changed dramatically. Pockets of water formed, liquid dropout occurred, terrain low points began trapping stagnant fluid. These traps didn't drain, and they didn't dry. They became corrosive. Then came the third event. A separate upset involving ingress of process fluids. Glycol, methanol, amines. Whatever the fluid, it entered the system and settled in one of those traps. It stayed, and it reacted. Over time, the chemistry became more aggressive. Localized wall loss developed, and eventually, the pipe failed. Right where QIC Assess had predicted it would. Not where traditional ICDA tools would have looked, but exactly where the terrain, flow conditions, and water phase behavior aligned to create a slow but deadly corrosion zone. And here's the thing. This isn't a one-off. This is becoming the norm. Back in 2000, internal corrosion caused just 5% of gas transmission failures. Today, it's more than 35%, and that's not because the gas changed. It's because most of our pipelines were built before 1980. They've spent decades in operation, and they're increasingly exposed to slow-rate, low-visibility corrosion mechanisms that aren't caught by conventional methods. That's why QIC Assess exists. It doesn't rely on rules of thumb. It simulates the actual conditions that create corrosion risk. It's built to show you where to look before you ever see a failure in the field. And it's not just about prediction, it's about compliance. PHMSA now requires that all gas transmission operators implement formal internal corrosion management programs. That means hazard identification, mitigation planning, and performance verification. QIC Assess gives you the model, CMP-IC delivers the plan. Together, they satisfy the regulatory expectations and support the field with real, usable guidance. So, if this case feels familiar, if you're running a line that hasn't been pigged in years, or one that looks clean on paper but doesn't feel right in the field, let's start with that one. We'll model it using QIC Assess. You'll get a terrain-integrated risk profile, corrosion hazard mapping, and a field-ready corrosion management plan delivered in under 72 hours for just $1,500. That's not a quote. It's a standing offer, because this is about protecting your team, satisfying your regulator, and staying ahead of failure. At TPA, we don't just explain failure. We work to prevent it, in service of the field, and in alignment with the future of integrity regulation. Visit trustedpipelineadvisor.com or reach out, and let's model your risk before it becomes your next emergency.